Hi, I'm Nikhil Shenoy, co-founder and CEO of Colvin Run Networks based in Leesburg, Virginia, a partner of MicroStrategy, talking about machine learning and MicroStrategy, predictive maintenance in the U.S. Armed Forces. Thrilled to be here and kind of introduce our partnership and where we've come over the last couple of years. So Colvin Run and MicroStrategy came together under the AFWorks, now AF Ventures umbrella of small business innovation research programs through the Department of Defense. So Colvin Run has a portfolio of these initiatives, and the one with MicroStrategy is called SHOPMAN, the Supply Hub for Operational Predictive Maintenance and Analytics. We chose MicroStrategy, and the content of today's presentation will focus around what we're doing and why MicroStrategy helps us kind of go leaps ahead of other small businesses when it comes to developing these types of innovations in DoD. Specifically, the use case that we looked at was called condition-based maintenance. So today, and in the past, a lot of maintenance is around schedule-based. And then when things break, it's just-in-time delivery. So there's a large initiative in the Department of Defense to go after condition-based maintenance, understanding what needs are actually there rather than following a strict schedule. And so one of the key challenges that we wanted to address was making proactive, data-driven decisions for mission-critical problems. So that schedule maintenance that I mentioned is particularly problematic for an aging fleet. You'll have parts that are in diminished manufacturing sources and very limited supply. You have legacy systems that require a lot of different types of data pulling and organization and manual labor to get through them. There's an intensive training requirement. So having something that is fast, intuitive, and impactful was our goal in building SHOPMAN with MicroStrategy. Some of the other things that came out of the box of MicroStrategy, we'll talk about how that gave us a running head start, were data availability and governance. Some of the visualizations and integrations that came with MicroStrategy let us really focus on the machine learning and data curation and collection aspects of it, rather than some of the traditional technology stand-up that you'd have to do in such initiative. So again, the solution was called the Supply Hub for Operational Predictive Maintenance and Analytics. And what it boils down to is a tailored CBM plus, condition-based maintenance plus analytics solution. So we improve system availability, increase operational readiness, and reduce lifecycle costs by bringing information and these instant KPIs in a way that people intuitively see them. You know, a lot of DoD maintainers are maybe 19 to 25, 26 years old, and they have certain expectations for the way things should look and feel. And MicroStrategy gave us a lot of that UX out of the box, where we could focus our development on what those things should look like, how they should work. How can we let our commanders see the big picture for targeted actionability, and how do we actually kind of focus on the use case at hand? So over the last 2 years, Colvin Run has been fortunate enough to develop a few of these prototypes with the Air Force. We recently won a large mandate with the U.S. Navy, Office of Naval Research, to push this through. And we've also developed prototypes for the Army that are under evaluation. So the beauty of this is that, you know, whereas traditionally there'd be a lot of rework or repeat effort due to kind of develop something from scratch in each of these services, MicroStrategy gives us a running head start so that we can get something that looks and feels great, and focus on our actual machine learning and data science capabilities. So what are some of the benefits? What are those capabilities? What do they look like when you actually pull it all together? So one of the things that we notice is that there's a lot of manual processes, whether that's taking stuff from one system, putting it in Excel, manipulating it, and then putting it into another system. And these types of workflows happen, and we found in DoD that sometimes information gets transferred over a phone call. You know, here's the readout for today. Here's what this looks like, and here's what the PowerPoint presentation has, you know, after a week of pulling it together, here's what it looks like. With SHOPMAN and MicroStrategy, we're able to wire some of that data together, so that instead of copy pasting across systems and spreadsheets, that common source of truth is available how people want to see it. And those dashboards are tailored. So while somebody might have a responsibility for a single airplane or a set of airplanes or platforms, you can aggregate that data up to somebody that might have responsibility across multiple bases, right? So the data governance and having that kind of big picture, MicroStrategy enables that a company like Colvin Run to set those pipelines up very meaningfully and intentionally, right? Rather than worrying about the technology stack, we can worry on the functionality itself. And then the other cool thing that Colvin Run's been able to do using MicroStrategy is marrying disparate data sets into the way that people want to see it, right? So if you want to marry sensor data with cost data or supply levels, with how hard it is to source those components, we can actually pull those analyses together in a very easy to consume way. It's very digestible and highly impactful because of the running head start we got from MicroStrategy. So how do we actually do this? Colvin Run, we use a lot of open source tools. MicroStrategy lets us bring those together, but we focus on the cross-industry standard process for data mining, right? So we drive a deep understanding of the mission or the business at hand, the data that's available, how it needs to be prepared, and then the modeling, evaluation, and deployment of tools that are actually useful. And there's more to CRISP-DM. You can Google it. There is an iterative process. So in addition to open source tools, we use an open standards process. And that way, everybody knows what they're getting. It sets the table, makes sure that everything is holistic and comprehensive kind of coming into the initiative. So because we use open source tools, right, one might ask, why did we partner with MicroStrategy? For a customer like DoD, it's all about trust, right, and performance. So MicroStrategy has been around for a long time and continuously innovating. It was as recently as last year rated the #1 BI platform, and we had all these qualifications. So a 2-person startup like Colvin Run that we were at the time when we first started talking to MicroStrategy, had some of these great qualities, and we were able to partner with them in a meaningful way. Today, Colvin Run has 7 people, and so it is still beneficial to have somebody with the heft and commercial experience of MicroStrategy in our back pocket. So some of that technical debt that you might build up in a startup, we eliminated that by partnering. So we're able to deliver enterprise-grade software out of the box, integrate a ton of different third-party tools. So if they already had existing investments, there's no rip or replace requirement, which is where a lot of these small business initiatives fail, because there'll be something in place that they don't want to replace, or there's certain security or connectivity requirements that transitioning SBI or technology is difficult to do. But by partnering with MicroStrategy, Colvin Run can uniquely address those problems, leverage legacy investments, and still kind of deploy with extreme flexibility for all the models and things that our data science and engineering teams create. Again, the Gartner report was very helpful to us. We already discussed how MicroStrategy is applicable across federal government in both defense and civilian. And so our go-to-market strategy for Colvin Run is that we have this running head start with MicroStrategy. So our go-to-market plan for developing data science and engineering applications in government would involve working with MicroStrategy on our SBIR contract, which enables us to go to any of these federal customers on a sole source rapid acquisition basis. Happy to answer questions on that later, but that's really important, right? So in addition to the value add of having MicroStrategy with Colvin Run, we bring to the table new capabilities and market access to all these federal customers. And from a technology perspective, right, things like responsive design, touch optimization, a lot of startups, I can't tell you that I've been involved in the history of my career, spend so much time on things like rounded corners and color schemes and all that. MicroStrategy makes it incredibly easy to build once. You can deploy it both on a laptop or a tablet or a phone and have those apps ready to go. So the collaboration we've been able to pull off with a distributed team, especially in COVID, has been pretty amazing. So I'm here outside of Washington, D.C. Our tech team is in Salt Lake City, Utah, and we have additional program managers in Boston. So for a 7-person team, that's extremely distributed. But with MicroStrategy and working with their personnel as well, we've been able to deliver something really, really well in a very short amount of time. So all those features were right out of the box, which is great for a team like ours. Again, kind of diving into the semantic graph, I mentioned before a single source of truth, right? So you have the SHOPMAN solution, but underneath it, you have all these different types of data that need to be pulled together. Here we actually have, relational sources, in-memory data sets, and other sources that may be a data ecosystem. It might be something as simple as an Excel spreadsheet that gets updated over and over again, or a PowerPoint that gets published in SharePoint, and you want to have a consistent pointer to the latest document in a certain folder, right? So MicroStrategy lets us take things like these percent availability metrics and machine attributes, tie them to the sources that they came from, and rather than create a duplicate database, it lets us tie those directly in to the schema that we build, right? So again, I just want to highlight the data science and all the cool things that Colvin Run does. MicroStrategy provides us the governance, scalability, and security out of the box that gives us a running head start to deliver those things with excellence, even with a very small distributed team. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our presentation. If you have any more questions about how Colvin Run and MicroStrategy can help you, please email info@colvinrun.net for more information. Thank you.